let's talk about forgiveness. It's a huge concept, right? And it can feel incredibly complicated, maybe even impossible when we're the one who's been hurt. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down a really clear framework to help us get a handle on what it truly means to forgive and how doing that can actually lead to our own healing.
And this question, man, it gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? Our relationships are, without a doubt, one of our greatest gifts. They bring us so much joy. But that's exactly why they're also our deepest source of pain. The closer someone gets to you, the more power they have to wound you.
So, what are we really talking about when we say forgiveness? It's so important to get this right. It is not about pretending the hurt never happened. It's not about erasing the memory. Instead, it's an active decision. It's you choosing to let go of your right to get even, and instead trusting that justice will be handled by a power much greater than yourself. All right, here's our game plan. We'll start by digging into why this is all so hard, that whole gift and a wound paradox. Then we'll look inward at the poison of bitterness and how it eventually spills out. From there, we'll shift gears and look at the solution. A totally new way to approach forgiveness, how that impacts our communities, and finally, the ultimate challenge of moving from just believing to actually obeying.
Okay, first up, a gift and a wound. Let's really explore this core tension because it's what makes forgiveness so absolutely necessary in the first place.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Think about it. Families fall apart, friendships get broken, and it's not always because of some big, dramatic hatred. So often, it's just from wounds that were never dealt with, that never got a chance to heal through forgiveness, and that's the core problem we're trying to solve here. So, if that's the problem, where do we even begin to find a solution? Well, here's the twist. It doesn't start with confronting the other person. It starts with an internal battle. It starts with dealing with what the source calls a poison inside us. This is such a key concept. Bitterness isn't just feeling angry or sad. It's described here as a wound that you actually store inside your heart. And if you don't deal with it, it doesn't just fade away. No, it festers. It quietly grows into rage and then anger, poisoning you from the inside out, long before anyone else even sees it. And what happens when that internal poison inevitably finds an escape route? Well, this next part is all about how that inner state leads to some really destructive external consequences. And that stored bitterness, it always comes out. It surfaces in really concrete ways. Harsh words, gossip, slander, even malice, that intentional desire to see someone else get hurt. These aren't just random bad moments. They are the symptoms of an unforgiving heart. And they are exactly what creates division and destroys relationship. Okay, so we've laid out the problem and its pretty ugly symptoms. Now let's pivot to the solution. This is the turning point. This is where we're called to adopt a conscious, radically new way of responding when we get hurt. And the choice we're presented with is just so stark. We're told to actively get rid of all that destructive stuff, the bitterness, the rage. But we're not supposed to just leave an empty space. We have to intentionally replace it with the exact opposite: kindness, compassion, and forgiveness. It's not a passive hope. It's a very active exchange. And this is the question we're all thinking, right? It sounds great on a slide, but when the pain is real, when it's deep, how is a shift like this even possible? It feels completely unnatural. It goes against every instinct we have. So the framework breaks it down into 2 actionable steps. First, kindness. And notice it's presented as a deliberate choice, something you do, not something you have to feel first. Second, compassion. This means actively choosing to see the other person through a lens of mercy, rather than only through the lens of your own hurt. So, what is the ultimate motivation for doing something this hard? This source material grounds it in this core idea.
The command isn't to forgive because the other person deserves it or because they finally apologized. The motivation is to imitate the forgiveness that you yourself have already received from God through Christ. It totally reframes forgiveness. It's not based on our feelings, but becomes an act of obedience and worship.
But this really personal, intense choice doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It has massive ripple effects. This isn't just about individual healing. We're talking about the health of an entire community. The reality is, unforgiveness is never a truly private act. It's like a crack in the foundation. It fractures families, it weakens friendships, and it can divide entire communities. But on the flip side, the act of forgiveness is what heals those fractures. It's the glue that strengthens unity and allows the community to, as the source says, build up in love. It's actually a sign of spiritual maturity. And this brings us to our final section, and maybe the most challenging one. It draws a really sharp line between simply agreeing with the idea of forgiveness and actually doing it. We're given this powerful analogy of two roads. First, there's the wide road. It's easy.